Hello, and thank you for your interest in Allegheny Franciscan Ministries ACOR grant program. This webinar will provide all the information you need to apply for an ACOR grant. My name is Erin Baird, and I'm the Director of Grants and the staff lead for ACOR. For a visual description of myself, I am a white female with brown shoulder-length hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt. This is the agenda for today's webinar. We're going to begin with an opening reflection. Then I'll provide some background information about Allegheny Franciscan Ministries. Then we'll move into a program description of the ACOR grant program. Carla Batts will review our grant application process and how to apply using the grant portal. We'll talk about the grant review process, and then we'll close sharing the contact information and where you can find more information about ACOR on our website. So we like to begin our meetings with a prayer or reflection that helps us center us and remind us of why we do the work. And so I selected this prayer. It's called A Prayer for the World by Rabbi Harold Kushner. And it says, "Let the rain come and wash away the ancient grudges, the bitter hatreds held and nurtured over generations. Let the rain wash away the memory of the hurt, the neglect. Then let the sun come out and fill the sky with rainbows. Let the warmth of the sun heal us whenever we are broken. Let it burn away the fog so that we can see each other clearly, so that we can see beyond labels, beyond accents, gender, or skin color. Let the warmth and brightness of the sun melt our selfishness, so we can share the joys and feel the sorrows of our neighbors. And let the light of the sun be so strong that we see all people as our neighbors. Let the earth, nourished by rain, bring forth flowers to surround us with beauty, and let the mountains teach our hearts to reach upward toward heaven." So a bit of background information about Allegheny Franciscan Ministries. We are a nonprofit Catholic grant-making organization. Our roots are, we were founded by the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny, New York in 1998. And our assets come from Catholic hospital ministries the sisters had in Florida. Today, Allegheny Franciscan Ministries is a member of Trinity Health, which is a large faith-based healthcare system that cares for diverse communities across 26 states. And we provide grants and work with community partners to address priorities, primarily in 3 regions of Florida that were originally served by the sisters' hospitals. The ACOR grant program is one of the few programs that extends beyond these geographic areas of those 3 regions in Florida. And since 1998, when we were founded, we've awarded $131 million to over 1,900 organizations. We've had a pretty far reach in this time period. Wanted to share our vision and mission with you. Our vision is that the communities we serve will become ever more just, equitable, and caring, and everyone in our communities will be welcomed and have the resources to thrive. Our mission is that we, Allegheny Franciscan Ministries and Trinity Health, serve together in the spirit of the gospel as a compassionate and transforming healing presence within our communities. We're guided by the mission and rooted in the tradition and vision of the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny. So you can see in our vision and mission, our history with the sisters and where we were founded and where we are today under a Catholic hospital system. You can see how important issues such as justice and equity and being a healing presence are to us in our work and what we try to do in the community. So that's a bit of background about the organization. This is our awesome staff team. We have 8 committed and dedicated staff members. I'll introduce you to everyone starting on the top row. That's me on the far left. I'm the Director of Grants. Next, we have Deidre Houchin, our Director of Climate Justice and Care for Creation. In the middle, you'll see Eileen Coogan. She's our President and CEO. Next, we have Faith Pullen, our VP of Operations. Then Stephen Goodell, he's our Administrative and Grant Services Coordinator. In the front row, we have Carla Batts, our Grants Administration and Quality Manager, Brittany Frazier, our Director for Leadership, DEI, and Capacity Initiatives. And then we have CT Harris, our Director for Communications, Connections, and Outreach. So now wanted to talk to you about the ACOR grant program specifically. So ACOR stands for Allegheny Community Outreach, and outreach is 2 words in that acronym. They are short-term support to community-based nonprofit organizations that extend the mission and vision of the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny. And they focus on improving health, wellness, and quality of life in marginalized communities. We offer 2 grant cycles every year. Individual grants are up to $10,000, and grants can support general operating needs of the nonprofit organization or programmatic support. On this slide, you'll see a picture of one of our grant partners. This is Lourdes Miracle Acre Garden Ministry. It's part of a nonprofit called New Beginnings of Brunswick, North Carolina. We have several eligibility requirements for ACOR. First, applicants need to have a 501c3 ruling from the Internal Revenue Service. So you need to be a nonprofit recognized by the IRS. You need to be willing and able to comply with the grant agreement. If you go to our website, you can see an example of the sample grant agreement. You can look at that in advance of applying. And then the third bullet is probably the most important eligibility bullet and point is that applicant organizations need to have an active and direct affiliation with the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny, Allegheny Franciscan Associates, or be a member of Trinity Health. And this is really rooted in the fact that this program is designed to honor our past and current sponsors, the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny and Trinity Health. So you have to have that connection, ongoing connection with those organizations. And when I say direct affiliation, that means like a sister needs to be, in the case of the congregation, the sister needs to be a volunteer, an employee, a board member, an active role in that nonprofit and or the project. As far as Trinity Health, they should be a member, an entity under Trinity Health. And finally, the last bullet is a project or organization acts in alignment with Catholic social teaching. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. There's a link here. I'm not sure if this is going to translate when I post the webinar, if you're going to be able to click it or not. But on our ACOR grant webpage, under this eligibility bullet, you can click on that link on the website to see a description of Catholic social teaching. Since the applicants have these connection with the sisters and with Trinity Health, I'm not, if you have that connection, you probably don't have any concerns about not aligning with Catholic social teaching, but if you do, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to talk to you about that. Just to highlight another grant partner here on this slide, you can see St. Francis Infant and Primary School. They built a playground, a covering for their playground and a playground for their school in Kingston, Jamaica, where the sisters have an active ministry. So of course, there are limitations to the ACOR grant program. Applicants can apply for 1 grant per organ or receive up to 1 grant per organization per year. And just for reference, we reference fiscal year 26. For us, fiscal year 26 started July 2025 and goes through June 2026. Each cycle, you can submit up to 1 application per organization. Please don't submit more than 1 application. I ask you to, if you're a larger organization, to prioritize requests and submit the one with the greatest need per cycle. And keep in mind, again, you can, if awarded in the fall, you can't apply again in the spring because you just got a grant. Organizations with active grants must complete a final report before applying for new funding. So make sure you're checking your status. If you had a past grant, that grant needs to be closed before you can apply for new funding. And then finally, ACOR grants do not support individuals, public agencies, fundraising events, or endowments. And here's a photo of Cristo Rey, which is a Catholic high school in Tampa, Florida, and one of our ACOR grant partners. This is supporting a graduate program where they assist seniors, actually students throughout high school in preparing for college. We have several priority criteria that we use to review and make decisions about grants and want to share those with you. So first, does the organization and or project improve the health, wellness, and quality of life through a holistic approach? So in providing services, are you considering the whole person and their needs? Next, promoting self-sufficiency or bringing about systemic change. We like to support programs that empower and remove barriers for others. So we're looking for programs that do that. Next, you provide services to individuals from marginalized groups, and we identify those. So we include BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, People of Color, LGBTQ+, individuals with disabilities, immigrants, and low-income populations. So these are ones that we highlight and are a priority for us. Well, if you're an international applicant, you're likely with the sisters working overseas, we encourage you to explain the marginalized groups because we understand that that has a different, it looks differently in different countries. So we allow for that and have a related question in the application about that. Next, strive to incorporate the viewpoint of individuals are served. So are you soliciting feedback? Do you have someone with past lived experience on your board or providing feedback to your organization? Focus on women. As we noted, that we were founded by Order of Women Religious, so the focus on women is something that's important to us, as well as focus on the environment. Caring for creation is central to Franciscan values and is also very important to our organization. So we're also looking for those type of requests. So for fiscal year 26, we estimate awarding about 35 grants or about 17 or 18 grants per cycle. And as I mentioned earlier, individual grants are up to $10,000. There are two steps to the application process. There is an LOI grant application, which really just confirms the affiliation. And then if invited, you will receive an invitation to complete a full application. And I am going to introduce Carla Batts. She's going to talk to you about the actual grant application process. And actually, Carla, I already gave you remote access, so if you can move the screen for me, I can't do that anymore. She's going to go through the process of applying online and walk you through all the steps. So I'll pass it along to Carla.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. Hello. As Erin mentioned, my name is Carla Batts, and I serve as the Grants Administration and Quality Manager. As a visual description of myself for inclusion and accessibility, I am a middle-aged white woman with long curly blonde hair past my shoulders. Right now, I'm wearing a black collared shirt with the Allegheny logo, and I'm also wearing black trim glasses. So for these next several slides, I'm going to walk you through on how to log into our grant portal and also how to access our ACOR grant opportunity for our current fall cycle that we're currently in. On July 1st, I want to note we did launch an enhanced applicant experience, which includes a new layout and navigation on our apply page. So you will want to reference these new steps, particularly for any of you who have applied for grants with us in the past, so you know what's changed and what you can expect. So as shown at the top right of the slide you see here, you'll need to go to Allegheny's website, which is afmfl.org. Once you do, you're going to see that first image that is shown there, which is our homepage. Over to the far right on that page, you're going to want to click that blue Apply for Grant button, which will then bring you directly to our Apply for Grant webpage. That page on our website also provides some really good general information, FAQs that you may want to check out, some important tips and information about our grant processes, as well as gaining direct access to our grant portal from there. So once you click that Access Grant Portal button and you're on our Apply for Grant page, I'm sorry, our Apply for Grant button, and you land on our Apply for Grant page as shown in step 2 at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see that second image banner for our grant portal. This is how you're going to access our online grant portal to apply for ACOR if you decide to move forward. So you can see on the screen, you want to click the green Access Grant Portal button. And I do want to note that same banner and information and grant portal button is also located on all of our individual grant program pages. So if you happen to be on the ACOR page, you're already reviewing that information, and you just want to move forward from there to apply, you can also access the grant portal at the bottom of that page as well. The language you see here that I've highlighted over to the left in blue provides some helpful information on what I just shared related to our new portal experience. It includes a webinar recording we did and also some good resources and tutorials that you can reference for navigating those changes in the portal. All right. And then after you click the Access Grant Portal button, this is the logon page that you will see here on your screen that will appear. So for step 3, you're going to enter your email address and password and click Log On. There is a Forgot Your Password link on that page that you can use to reset it if needed. And if you don't know for sure, if you're already in our system, you can click that Create New Account button you see there, which is going to prompt you to enter your organization's tax ID number. If we don't already have that ID number in our system, you will have the ability to move forward and create your organization and your user accounts. If we do already have your tax ID on file in our system, you're going to get a pop-up that says to reach out to me so I can add you as a new user under your organization. It's a lot easier to kind of do that on the back end, and we want to avoid creating duplicate accounts for your organization. We want everything to be housed in one spot in the portal. I will also note here that that same grant portal login information over to the right that's highlighted in blue, we're just trying to catch it in a few different spots as you're moving through the grant application process. So that is just the same repeat information, but just saved there as well. So you have multiple spots to be able to access those resources. So once you're logged in, you are either going to directly land on our apply page, and that would be in cases if you've never had any grant history with Allegheny. So you've never submitted an application, signed an agreement if you've received a grant award, or completed any reports. So when you go to log in, it's just going to land you straight on our apply page. If you have had any involvement in our portal, if any of those examples I just shared, you're going to actually be brought to your applicant dashboard. And the applicant dashboard is again to store your current and past grant history information that you can access and see all the history there. But from your dashboard, if you do land on that, there's either 2 different buttons you can click from your dashboard on the top left, either the apply button, or there will be also a see opportunities button that's located at the top left of your dashboard. Both of those will bring you to the same apply page. All right. And finally, for step 4 of this key process of logging in and accessing the ACOR application, this is the view you're going to see when you get to our apply page. So the top left message you see that is in yellow explains what to do when you're given an access code to apply for an invitation-only grant. Please disregard that. For the ACOR grant opportunity, although you do have to have the required affiliation, which is very important, as Aaron mentioned earlier, it's an open grant opportunity. It is not an invitation grant, so there is no access code needed to apply. Instead, you can see the grant opportunity listed as the 3rd one on our apply page. You can see that next to the blue arrow there. I would also highly encourage that See More section where you see it circled in orange. You can expand that area and read through more important information related to ACOR before considering moving forward with applying. If you decide to apply, you can click that apply button you see right there under the green arrow from our apply page, and that'll move you forward to the LOI. The preview button you see there is also there so you can view the questions ahead of time. We do also offer a sample of the LOI and full application that you and your team can work off of if you think that's something that would be helpful for you all. However, it is important to note you still must submit your LOI and full application directly in our grant portal. So if you use those samples, that's great, but just please log in and be sure to copy and paste your responses there directly in the portal. And for my next couple of slides, just want to show here reflecting the opening questions that you're going to see of the ACOR LOI application, which Erin mentioned is the first step in applying for that grant. So I kind of wanted for this webinar today to focus more on that piece. So the very first question you see, it's going to ask you if your organization has received an ACOR grant, has it been completed with a final report? So if you have a current active ACOR grant at this time, a final report has to be completed prior to applying again. So if you respond with a yes there that you've completed the report, or if it's an NA option, if it's the first time your organization has ever applied for an ACOR grant, those two responses will allow for that next section that you can see at the bottom to appear, which really goes further into explaining the two-step process that we've mentioned, completing the LOI, and if that's approved, we send a follow-up email inviting you and includes steps on how you want to access the full application from your dashboard. I will say also these notes in red at the bottom list out those eligibility affiliations that Erin went over earlier. So those are the ones we will accept for ACOR. If you don't have one of those required affiliations already established by the time you're applying, we ask that you don't move forward with completing an LOI. And this is a continuation. Once you respond about your final report, you'll see that other information appear. And then following that will be these 4 very brief eligibility questions related to that required affiliation that we've been going over. You must already have that to apply. So it's something you already have to have an affiliation that's already established, not any way that you can obtain that to apply for a grant. You'll enter your project name first. We ask that you don't include your organization's name in the project name. And if you are requesting general operating support, which is only intended for organizations that are doing work and projects in the US, please enter the project name there exactly as that general operating support. You'll then select the type of affiliation. So it's either a Franciscan Sister of Allegheny, one of their associates, or being a member of Trinity Health in one of their ministries. And then that final question is where you're going to briefly describe that affiliation for either the individual or the entity that you selected above. We do review the LOIs daily that are submitted, and if approved, as I mentioned earlier, you will receive an approval email with steps on how to access the full application from your dashboard. Okay. So this next slide, I just wanted to provide a snapshot view of what you're going to see if you were to begin an ACOR LOI form, or if approved and you've started on a full application, but you don't finish it that same day and you need to come back and work on it later. So at the very bottom of the ACOR application forms for both the LOI and full application, there's a save button that you can use to save your work often and then return to it later on. If that's the case, when you log back in, you're going to land directly on your applicant dashboard because now you will have history in our system. And you're going to see this panel that you see on the slide here on the left-hand side of your dashboard. So you'll look for the ACOR grant application fiscal year 26, or in this case, and it will also be marked specifically for LOI. So once you do, you can look over in that assigned to you column, click the continue button to resume where you left off. This will apply to both the LOI form and the full application. Once you've fully completed either, though, be sure that you complete and click the submit application button that's also located at the very bottom of the form to ensure that we receive it. Sometimes applicants will click save, but they haven't actually submitted it. So we want to make sure that we get your full LOI or application once you've spent all the time working on it to actually submit, so we get that. You'll also get a confirmation when you do that it's been successfully submitted. Okay, and then this is my final slide here. I just wanted to offer some helpful resources to related to what I've walked through. As mentioned, for transparency, we are providing sample applications of the LOI and the full application. So that can be accessed. We may be providing the slide deck on our ACOR page, so you could access those links directly from there. But they're also located on our actual ACOR grant page. So you can find samples there as well. And then also just wanted to remind, again, these are for reference only. You have to submit those via our online grant portal to be considered to move forward for funding. And then finally, I've also just included a direct link to the written tutorial with general steps and screenshots for navigating the new apply page that we went over today and that I've been referencing throughout. And hopefully you find those useful as you're considering and moving forward with applying. So my contact information will be shared at the very end of on the last slide. So if you have any portal related questions or need assistance in the portal at any time, please always feel free to reach out to me. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Erin now to finish this out with our final slides.
Awesome. Thank you, Carla. Very helpful information. I know that there are several steps to using the grant portal, making things work successfully, and that was very helpful to get us to walk through that. And like Carla said, she's very happy to help anyone navigate that, especially because, like she mentioned, there were some recent changes to the interface of our grant portal. So now we're circling back to the review process. You've submitted your application and wanted to give you a little insight into the review process. This is similar to some of our other programs. We have an ACOR grant committee that reviews the application and makes funding recommendations. The committee members include Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny, community representatives, and Allegheny Franciscan Ministry board members, and a staff person on the staff team for that. So we meet and make funding recommendations. Then our president and CEO reviews the recommendations and approves the grants. And then our board member is informed of those decisions. And then lastly, the applicants are notified. So if you're wondering why it's taking a little bit of time, it is going through those steps. So the review committee and the approval process and then notification. So thought that might be helpful for you to understand the review process. Now, these are important key dates. We have 2 grant cycles every year, a fall and a spring cycle. So the first cycle, the fall cycle, is open at the time of this recording. It is open right now and will be closing September 25th. That is just the LOI that Carla showed you the screenshot of all the questions. It shouldn't take you 10, 15 minutes tops to complete that LOI, and you'll want to do that sooner rather than later because you'll look at the full application deadline is October 1st. So the intent is that you submit it earlier. You don't wait till the 25th and then do the full application because there are more questions on the full application. And then decisions will be announced in November. Our spring cycle will be March 26th, the LOI is due, and April 1st, the full application is due, and decisions will be announced mid to late May. And same thing for November, mid to late November. So all that information is available on our website, but we wanted to give you this recording where we kind of walked you through everything as well. This is our contact information. These are the 2 folks that you'd probably most need to talk to if you have questions about the application process for ACOR. As I mentioned, I'm the staff lead for the ACOR, so I'm happy to answer any program questions, any questions you have about past grants, if the program's a good fit or not. Please direct those questions to me. If you have any questions about applying and using the grant portal, maybe looking at grant history, changing your contacts, adding you as a new contact, anything about the application process, a file not up. I don't think there are any uploads in the application, but any issues you experience with the application, contact Carla. She's happy to answer your questions. And then I'm sharing the website and then our actual web page that's dedicated to ACOR. So our website's afmfl.org. And the actual webpage is under our mission inspired grants. There's that section about what we do. And then you'll see our mission inspired grants, and ACOR is the first program under that. So you can go directly to that page. I think that's all I have for you. Carla, any last minute tips, advice, or anything you want to share before we sign off?
I would just reiterate what Erin mentioned. Don't wait till the last minute. So you have a longer kind of turnaround time to actually complete the full application because it's going to be a lot more in depth than the LOI form. So just reiterating what Erin said, give yourself plenty of time. If you are going to move forward, get your LOI in as soon as possible. And
Awesome.
always reach out if you have any questions. Always feel free to reach out, and I try to be as responsive as I can. But yeah, I think that's all.
Good advice. Good advice. So we're happy to answer questions. Reach out. You've got plenty of time. You've got 2 grant cycles to consider. And thank you for taking time and listening to the webinar. Reach out, and we look forward to hearing from you and reviewing your application. Thank you.
Thank you.